Hi and welcome in. I'm Megan McEwen. Over the course of the next 2 days, you're going to hear from all 14 Big Ten volleyball schools as coaches and players break down what to expect in this upcoming 2022 season. This is split into 2 days. 7 teams will go on day 1, 7 teams on day 2. Here on day 1, you can expect to hear from Ohio State, Michigan State, IU, and Michigan, in addition to the reigning national runner-ups Nebraska, Northwestern, Purdue, and the Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren will give us a State of the Union regarding why it is so important for volleyball to have this platform. Taking a look at the Big Ten volleyball preseason poll, Wisconsin holding tight to number 1. This was decided by the head coaches. We cannot wait to get started with our first ever Big Ten Volleyball Media Day. The Buckeyes 2022 season outlook coming off back-to-back Sweet 16 appearances in the last 2 seasons under head coach Jen Flynn Oldenburg. Key returners include defensive specialist Kylie Murr, who recorded a team best 504 digs last season. In fact, she ranks 4th in program history with 1,405 digs. And setter Mac Pedroza, who led the country in assists per set with nearly 12. And they are here with us today. Joining us, the Buckeyes now, Mac Pedroza, Kylie Murr, and Coach Flynn Oldenburg. First off, welcome JFO. Mac, you said you can give us the rundown on why this is Coach's nickname now.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much just came to be. We were calling her Flynn, we were calling her all kinds of different stuff, Jen, but we actually have a Jen on our team already. So we were like, okay, JFO's got to go. We got to make it work. So I think Mia Grunzy kind of made the official push to make it happen, and then we ran with it. So she's JFO.
Most of the time, like, Jen on the team is the one who has to change their name, not the head coach.
Right.
Jen was there first.
She was like, I was here first. So I was like, well, not technically, but I'll let you have it.
Held her ground.
Oh, my goodness. Well, welcome to Big Ten Media Volleyball Days, the first ever of its kind. How's it been going so far, Coach?
This is amazing, but I want them to talk about it.
Really cool. You guys are doing awesome things here, treating us really well, and it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, it's cool to be the first. It's kind of fun. It's going to be cool to see where it ends up going.
Now, this is something, you guys are coming off a fantastic season, finished tied 3rd in the Big Ten. You open up your season against Texas, who's a national powerhouse. How is that going to set you up for the rest of your regular season?
That was the point. Last year, I just don't feel like we were prepared for the Big Ten, and this year I wanted to make sure that we were, and so we scheduled tough, and that's going to be the plan moving forward. I don't know that I anticipated that tough of a schedule, but I'm also really excited for it because of the returners that we have, including these 2.
I was going to say, if you want to make it tough, that's a great team to schedule. And Kylie, how excited are you to play against a top contender?
I'm super pumped. I mean, we got to play the best to be the best, so I think she's setting us up for a lot of success here. And I'm really excited just to pack Cavelli, and the whole campus is already talking about it, so I'm really excited.
And that has to be so much fun for you too, Mac, to have the whole entire campus already talking about it. School hasn't even started yet in Columbus.
No, yeah, all our athlete friends, everybody. It's 25 days till first serve, so we're definitely ready. It's go time.
Well, I know you guys are definitely ready for this upcoming season. And Kylie, we talked about your digs and the record that you continue to set at Ohio State. What makes you so effective with that skill set?
Yeah, I think as a libero, you don't get to make a lot of noise at the net, so you got to make a lot of noise in other ways. And so I think just bringing that defensive energy and those big digs bring a lot of momentum to the team. And so I think that is kind of my job and just the role that I've accepted, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. It's something I love to do. So.
And you're sacrificing your body in the process as well.
Get hit, yep. You're just out there to get hit, keep the ball off the floor.
Coach, what's your favorite memory of her last season with maybe one of her digs in a game?
Favorite one? I mean, there's so many to choose from. I don't know. I think they all stand out in different ways, but it's her excitement. Like, she makes a big dig, Max sets somebody up, and they get a swing, and they're covering. But then when they get a kill, I mean, she's the first one to celebrate, and then she chest bumps people.
Yeah,
like, it's just, I think every day it's fun to watch her play.
Kylie, you can tell the energy's high with you,
Oh,
especially.
yeah, always.
We know this now. And Mac, you're one of those players that has just become an incredible setter for this team. And how have you been able to develop such a high volleyball IQ, throughout your time on the court?
I think I owe a lot of that to JFO over here. I mean, I think I'm never done growing, and I always want to keep getting better and better and better. And you never have a ceiling, I don't think. I think you can always keep getting better, and I think JFO's brought my game to a completely different level, kind of a level I didn't know it could get to. So I think that the setter that I am today is a completely different setter than I was last year, my freshman year, or even when I was in high school playing club. So it's been really fun to continue to grow, and I'm excited to keep growing.
You talked about things that coaches taught you. What specifically has she taught you that's really helped elevate your game?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned about setting just in general is the rhythm of it all and the need to be in rhythm to be able to give a good ball. I think it all starts with the feet and it all kind of goes up your body. So that finish can tell the ball where to go with your hands, but it all starts with your feet and that rhythm that you kind of create. And ask anybody, I have no rhythm whatsoever. So I'm definitely not a dancer, to say the least, but so it was a challenge and it was uncomfortable and it was weird, but JFO says it all the time, weird is good. So it's kind of cool to see where I've come and that I've really bought into that, and I'm even like trying to pass that on, and I think it's going to be a really big aspect of the setting game down the line in the future too.
We're not going to make you dance, don't worry.
Thank God.
She already had 2 downstairs.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'm sure it was fantastic. Everybody go look on social media for her dancing.
Or not.
Coach. Or not. But how have you seen Mac develop in that setting? She talked about, what you've taught her, but what has she taught you?
I like how both of them, but especially Mac, I work with her a little bit more, just embraced some of the change. And it is uncomfortable, and you don't like being wrong or having to change so much, but when she figures something out in that light bulb moment, I think that's why I do what I do. And she's had a bunch of those over the last couple of years. And to her point, I think there's even more growth there, and I'm excited for the setter she could become.
Giving you a little love to Mac. Now we got to switch to Kylie here. You've told our Emily Eman that Kylie is the heartbeat of this team. Why is that?
I think our team lives and dies by Kylie, and she knows that. And we've talked about what that means by the pressure of it, but also the excitement behind it. And when she's playing her absolute best, everybody else does around her, and it's easy for the rest of the team. And so I think when her heart's beating fast and ready and strong, then we're in a good spot.
You have All-Americans back, like opposite hitter Emily Londa, Riley Rader's back. What's going to make your team most dangerous this season?
I think it's going to be the balance of the offense, and we're going to add another middle. Adria Powell's been doing a fantastic job, and a little bit under the radar. We have another middle that's going to push her in that role. Gabby Gonzalez plays the whole game, and I think she's a rock for us. And whether it's Mia Grunzi, Janasia Moore, or Chelsea Thorpe on the other left side, I think they've been working really hard this summer to have that impact as that player. So I think the balance of our offense and really just our defensive mentality are what's going to set us apart.
You just named your whole entire roster right there. That's pretty
impressive
impressive right there on your bingo card. But that just goes to show you how deep this team sounds like you're going to be this season. Mac, leadership-wise, how would you assess the chemistry of this team?
I think we're returning, like she said, most of our roster. So that chemistry's been there. Those building blocks have been there. And I think we're just ready to go up. Like the teamwork that we've been working on this summer and kind of just building those relationships on and off the court. The freshmen have been in the gym getting their grind on. So it's been really good to get everybody kind of working together, working as one. And I'm really excited to see where we can go.
For someone who doesn't like to dance, you certainly mentioned a lot of dance moves in your conversations with your interview answers.
Yeah, it's fair.
Kylie, what have you told this freshman class coming in when it comes to how to be successful in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's so much telling them, it's more showing them. And I think as a senior and as captains on this team, we really want to lead by example. And we can say as much as we want, but actions speak louder than words. So I think just showing the freshmen the way, not only verbally, but physically, and just helping them as much as we can and taking them under our wing has been the key to them growing and joining our team.
I want to ask all three of you, how would you define success this season for Ohio State? Coach, we'll start with you.
Start with me first. Fantastic.
Yes.
More. We want more. And so, Max said it at the end of the year last year, Big Ten championship. And I know everybody talks about that, and everybody here, today and tomorrow, want that. This team's going to work for it. So Big Ten championship, Elite Eight or more.
Yeah, going off that, I was going to say Elite Eight or more. I think the last 2 years that we've made the tournament, we've kind of, the Sweet 16, we've kind of just fell out of it. And I think all we can keep thinking about is that Elite Eight, and having the championship in Columbus last year just really fueled our fire, and we really want to, and getting to see that was really cool, and that's something that we really want. So
yeah, going off of that, the ball dropped against Georgia Tech, and I was ready to move on and go win that Big Ten championship. So I think that's where we're going. That's where this team's going. Yeah, we're sick of the Sweet 16. We're ready for the Elite Eight. And we've put Buckeye volleyball back on the map. And I think we're not done yet, so more is a great way to say it.
I have chills. My goodness. Those were fantastic answers. Be afraid of the Buckeyes. I don't want to go to Columbus here, let me tell you. Ohio State, thank you ladies so much for joining us, and good luck with the rest of the season. And enjoy this wonderful day here at Big Ten Network Studios.
Thank you so much.
The Spartans are back for 2022 with a brand new head coach, Leah Johnson, who was hired this offseason. They also have key returners, middle Rebecca Poljan, who had the top hitting percentage on the team last season, and newcomer libero Neilani Yosia, who arrived from the University of Texas. And they are all sitting with us right now. Neilani, Rebecca, and Coach, welcome to Big Ten Volleyball Media Day. And as you can see, Coach, you in fathead form, I think, looks fantastic. As you can see, your players with you. And my favorite part about this day so far has been, Rebecca, you were asked to impersonate Coach just earlier. And what was your impression? Please show us.
I was shoulders back, so confident, just demanding respect out of the way that I walked into every room.
Is that me?
Yes, that is absolutely you. Absolutely, Coach. Come on.
Well, you're in the right conference to demand respect because you just came in and took over the Michigan State head coaching job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
First off.
Yeah.
What made this job so appealing to you?
The leadership, number one. I think we have great leaders in our administration, our AD, SWA, and all of our sport administrators. They have a vision, and I think they have the will to get us there. And so I'm excited to be part of that journey. But also the reputation. I mean, Michigan State kind of stands on its own. It is a national brand, a desired school, a destination, athletics venues. So, I'm proud and honored to be part of it.
And you replaced a legend in Kathy George coming in. How do you as a coach approach carving your own niche while also honoring the past presence that was there?
Yes, and I think that's important. Honestly, it's no different than me trying to honor my past. I came through a certain pathway to get here, certain trials, adversities, opportunities, and I still have to stay true to me. And I think that's the best way to do it, is be myself, and that way it allows me the perspective to recognize those who have done something different, better, done something in the past historical that I can recognize, because we're not going to repeat the same. The results might become the same. Can we accomplish the highest feats in similarity, but maybe we're going to do it differently.
Sure. Well, you have 12 newcomers to your team this season, including Neilani down there. You transferred from the University of Texas, who is one of the best volleyball programs in the country. What made East Lansing so attractive?
Definitely Coach Johnson and her reputation, and just wanting to build this program and just grow it from the beginning, and just being a part of that was something that really attracted me about her, and just knowing that she really had best interest in me as a person and a player. That's something that really spoke to me and that really attracted me here to Michigan, and that's what brought me to Michigan State. And just wanting to thrive under her program and just grow as a player is something that I've really been trying to focus on, just especially for this season.
And now you're playing in one of the best, if not the best, conference in the country. How attractive was it for you as an elite volleyball player to come to the Big Ten?
It's definitely intimidating a little bit. Coming from the Big 12 to the Big 10 is a big step, but I'm so excited to just get after it. Every competition and competitive level that this conference brings each and every week is going to be huge, and I think that'll definitely help me grow as a player as well.
Well, you have a fifth year right next to you, and Rebecca, and you decided to come back for a fifth year of eligibility. Yes. Why?
Michigan State is home for me, and just Leah stepping into this, it even felt more like home. I felt like I could grow in leadership here. My whole family is at Michigan State, and I just bleed green. Michigan State is a part of who I am, so it was an easy move for me.
What has been the most challenging part of being a leader on a team with so many new faces that you have to build chemistry from the ground up?
Yeah, honestly, just humility in the process. I know I'm going to fail. I know that we're going to have challenges throughout the entire thing. So just trying to stay grounded. Coach has this thing called staying aware over being in judgment zone. So awareness over judgment. And I definitely have had to learn that as a leader, and finding my voice, and having 12 new girls. It's a constant process that I'm always having to learn more, and being adjustable, listening to my fellow teammates when I know I'm not gonna be the best leader all the time, and just growing and always aspiring to get 1% better every day. So.
And you both, just right here with body language, seem to have a great relationship with Coach Johnson here. And Coach, how difficult is it to come in and take over a program, but to get people to buy into your system?
Yeah, everyone talks about buy-in and how you create buy-in, but it's really just being human, You know, I don't try to be anyone but me. I try to be very consistent with who I am and how I interact, whether it's on the court, in my office, so that each of those spaces I'm the same. They may not be the same, but every time in that space I'm the same. And so that they know who to expect, and it helps them navigate the highs and lows, I think, of a season or a situation or where they are in their growth, their own personal growth. But it also takes people willing. And I have women around me that are so willing to give me the space to grow here myself in my career and in my craft. And they're a kind servant group. You know, they're willing to give me that space, and they honor my efforts too with that.
We've talked 12 newcomers, newcomer Leilani right there, Neilani, excuse me. But who are some other names that we may not have heard of yet that we're expecting to hear this season?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, but I think you will get to know Zoe Nunez, a setter who is a graduate transfer, spent 4 years at the University of Notre Dame and led them to 2 NCAA tournaments as well during her career. But she's very comfortable in the toughest moments, and that's on the court, off the court. Any person feels comfortable around her, and I think she will have a very positive stabilizing factor for us. And I think you're going to see several players on the pins that are brand new. You know, Grace Kelly, Aaliyah Moore, 2 international players who actually arrived this week. And so there are so many factors, and so many pieces. I think we'll be finding ourselves all year. It doesn't mean that we won't know who we are early, but we will keep reinventing ourselves to be better. And I'm excited about going through that with these young women.
It's going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Welcome
thank
to
you.
East Lansing. Welcome to East Lansing. And we look forward to seeing what Michigan State does on the court this year. The Spartans open up against Louisiana on August 26th. The Indiana Hoosiers back for 2022. A young team gets a year older. Key returners coming back. Cameron Hayworth, Paula Sarami, and they are in the house. 2 of the veterans now on this team. Sarami coming off a big season, 4.24 digs per set. That ranks 9th in the Big Ten. And we are now joined by the 2 players and Coach Aird. Welcome to our Big Ten Network studios.
How are we doing?
We're doing great. My question is, how are you 3 doing? Because you've had a busy summer traveling abroad, stamping your passports. You just got back from a foreign tour trip. Coach, how important are those kinds of trips for building that chemistry in the off season?
Well, first, thanks for having us. I think the tour was transformational for the program. So many of the young players in our program didn't ever leave the country, so the opportunity to travel and play internationally was unbelievable. Huge shout out to our administration and Indiana's women's initiative that's providing funding for the women's programs. That's really kind of unique and kind of a one-of-a-kind thing. So we have a lot to be grateful for, I think, as a program, and certainly got to play high-level volleyball, got to travel the world and do it with people that we love, so it was fun.
That's fantastic. And Paula, you got to play with Team Puerto Rico this past off-season competing internationally. What kind of experience were you able to take away from competing on that level?
Yeah, I think it was an awesome opportunity I was able to participate in. I think the experience that I got was definitely just like bringing the international game to the college game. So I'm super excited about that, to bring that level of play into our gym.
Well, you've also had the opportunity in your college career to play in different conferences. You started in the SEC, transferred to the Big Ten. One of the best in the country. What have you learned about playing in the Big Ten?
I think that was one of the biggest decisions whenever I transferred into the Big Ten. Was every game that I played was a big time game. Every game, every crowd, everything was super big. So I think getting to play in almost every game was a national championship match for us, I think was one of the biggest decisions, and I think I'm super grateful for that too.
Cameron, you got thrown into the fire in a sense as a freshman last year. You played a ton, especially as a setter, which is a massive position. Where was your biggest area of growth last season?
I think it was kind of in leadership and communication, actually. It's something I've worked on for a long time, and I think last year I really grew in just that area.
How would you describe to somebody what it is like to play in a Big Ten match?
It's like the spotlight's on you all the time. Everyone, like at least one person in the whole arena is always watching you. So it's just kind of, I don't know, spotlight's on you all the time. You got to be on your game.
And Coach understands that better than anybody. Where has the biggest area of growth been for this team from last year into this upcoming season?
Well, I think it's the growth of the whole conference. You know, I've been lucky to be around it for 20 years and for a long time at Penn State and then at Maryland and now at Indiana. I just think the growth in the sport has been tremendous. The media day speaks to that. The support that these young women are getting from across the conference. It's why you want to play in the Big Ten. It's why you want to play at Indiana. And we were young. We were just young. We started 4 freshmen last year. We had some upperclassmen like Paula who were steady and obviously very skilled, but it's a program that's just growing. And, you know, it's one of those things you can't microwave it. It's baking and it takes time. It takes time. It's hard. It's a challenge, but it's one we enjoy and it's one we go after every day. And we're fortunate, you know, we're excited to be here this week for that reason.
You got the oven out. We're on preheat right now in the preseason.
Yeah.
Who are some players that IU fans may not have heard of yet that you're expecting for them to know after this year?
Yeah, that's a great question because, you know, this is kind of our first and second touch, so the libero and the setter, and we feel very, very good about that. We just have a stable of young athletes with great arms. So we added 2 international players in the last 2 weeks, one from Spain and one from Istanbul and Turkey. Some of our younger players, as they'll tell you, have really developed over the summer and the spring and taken their game to a whole nother level. These guys had an incredible spring, an unbelievable summer. They're all really excited. The energy in the program is great. And I just think it just takes time. I think in time we're going to be awfully tough. And I think we're, to a player, really excited about how we look going into this year.
And Paula, you're one of the veterans on this team as a senior. How has your leadership skills grown throughout your time on campus?
Yeah, I think coming in last year and taking on the big role that I had, I think really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I think my role kind of changed from being just like a normal player to having more of like a role on the team. And I think I was more of a role model to a lot of the younger kids. So I kind of took that onto myself and I was like, okay, like I have to do all these things for them to keep them doing once I leave. So I think just like taking on that role model spot.
And Cameron, you know, you have so many young players on this team, like Coach has mentioned. You have been in that situation before. What advice are you giving some of these freshmen coming in?
I think really just to lean on the upperclassmen. That's something that, like in my class, there's 4 of us. I think we really leaned on the class above us and Paula's class especially, just to kind of help us through the season.
And you were able to lean on some of those upperclassmen last year, like Brooke Westbeld. What was the #1 thing you're looking on improving in your own personal game headed into this season?
Every category needs to go
Everything.
just a little
Coach is right next to her, so she's going to give the right answer.
Now, you know, it's tough. It's tough as a freshman setter to come in and carry the mail. But towards the end of the year last year, she just showed that athletically she was kind of far and away where we were headed. And then I think in the spring, had a massive spring. We played at a really high level in Europe. I was really, really, really comfortable with where they were at in Europe. And with these 2 additions that we're bringing in, we're excited to get to camp and get going. And we feel like we finally got our feet underneath us and we're ready to roll.
I'd love to know from each of you, how will you define success this season for Indiana? We'll start with you, Paula.
I think it's more of like where we are right now and what we're looking forward to in the season. I think we're kind of one of those underdog teams that people don't really know about us. And I think each position we're really deep in and anything can happen. And we're really ready for whatever challenge we're facing in the season.
Kind of like she said, yeah, we're always the underdog. So just getting some of those little victories, those coin toss like matches, just winning some of those.
Yeah, and I've been really lucky. I've been part of 6 Final Fours and won 2 championships. For me, I know what good looks like. They're doing it. I want to be better in December than we were in August. And if we can just keep getting better as the season goes on, I think that's our definition of success.
Fantastic. Indiana Hoosiers, thank you so much for joining us today on our first ever Big Ten Media Days. The Hoosiers open up their season with the Indiana Invitational against Indiana State on August 26th. The Michigan Wolverines are back, coming off an 18-12 season last year. They return outside hitter Jess Merzick, who finished tied with the team best 389 kills on the year, and middle blocker Jess Robinson, who posted 98 total blocks, second on the team. And perhaps most importantly, they return head coach Mark Rosen, who also is a dance master, a TikTok master.
Yeah.
What do we have to do to make this go viral is what I want to know. Because those were pretty good moves up there.
I think we want to avoid viral at all costs. But
I don't know, Coach. That was a pretty good. And if it's any outlook on how Michigan's going to be this season, I think everyone's in good hands. Welcome on in, Coach Rosen, Jess, and Jess. How has Big Ten Volleyball Media Days been going, Jess Robinson?
I have had the best time. I think it's been so fun. I've met so many people from other conferences, caught up with a lot of old friends. I've had a good time.
What about you, Jess Merzick?
Yeah, it's been a blast. It's a super cool experience to be a part of the first one, and we're really close with a lot of the other girls here, so it's cool to just reconnect with them before the season.
Coach Rosen, you are now the longest tenured Big Ten volleyball coach here. How have you seen this conference evolve from when you first got to Ann Arbor?
First off, that's a super nice way to say I'm old. I appreciate that.
But you're still moving pretty well. We just saw it right there.
It's, the conference has changed so much in all positive ways. It's so competitive. So many schools are putting great resources and great emphasis on our sport. To see our sport grow to that point where now we've got 55 matches on TV this year and this kind of attention for a media day, it just speaks volume for our sport, but even more so what the Big Ten has committed to our sport. So super excited about being here, but also just seeing where we're going as a sport and as a conference.
Well, it's certainly year in and year out is the best conference in the country. Jess, I'm going to go back and forth. Robinson, we're going to call you Robinson and Merzick for this segment. Well, what makes the Big Ten so difficult to compete in?
I think it's just the fact that every single day your competition just gets better and better. You never get to take a game off. I think every single team that you face has a player that is going to be a problem, and they all have a mentality of we're going to win the Big Ten, we're going to win a national championship. I don't think any team in the Big Ten is passive. I think everyone really wants it.
Well, speaking of not being passive, you had 98 blocks last season. How were you able to excel in that area?
I think it's just something we put a really big focus on in the gym, and we practice it every single day, especially for middles. I think it's a really big part of the game, especially as you continue to go further into your college career. So I just really put a lot of focus on it because I know it's one of the ways that I could really help my team go forward.
And you can help your outside hitter like Jess Merzick come in hot with the kills, 3.5 kills per set last season. Why were you able to excel in that area?
Like you just said, I was able to excel because I've got people around me that make my job really easy. Jess being such a threat that she is, people have to watch her and they can't leave too early on her. Otherwise, she's going to make them pay. So it's nice to have a lot of people like that around me, good passing, good setting, other great attackers that make my job really easy.
Coach, Jess earned all conference honors as an underclassman. Why has she been so key to your program and your success as of late?
I think one of the things that I really appreciate about Jess and that makes her very unique is she has a complete skill set. I mean, she can score and help your team from the service line, defensively, blocking, as an attacker, as a passer. If we let her set, she'd probably do that pretty well. She did it in high school.
I've asked.
I've said very few players I've had in my career that have such a broad skill set where she can really impact the game in so many ways. So I think that's really the biggest value she brings to our program. But she's also a very good point scorer. And in our game, points are important. So to be able to score points in the front row, in the back row, big asset for us. And she's a very good blocker as well. So those are just huge contributions she makes to our program.
And then on the other hand, you have Jess Robinson, who's a senior now. What has she done and how has she grown throughout her time with you?
I think if I had to come up with one word for Jess Robinson, it'd be growth. I mean, to see her growth as a player has been huge, but just even more so as a person, just to see her maturity and what she brings. And I'm really excited for this year because she's worked so hard to get to where she's at. And for her now to be able to put that on the floor for this season is something that's going to be really exciting to watch. And I think she's gonna have a serious breakthrough. And she's already had some breakthroughs, but she's going to have a serious breakthrough this year because she's worked really hard to get there.
You've worked really hard on the floor. You're also a senior on this team, so you're one of the leaders. What have you learned about yourself as a leader, especially this offseason?
I think something that I've learned is that if you really want it, you have to be in it every single day. I think there are no days off, and that I feel like once you have a loss that just really hurts, that was us last year at the NCAA tournament, I think for me that was a big learning point, a big turning point, and I really just dug in. I feel like something I realized is that we really have to band together as a team. Everyone has to be in it every single day, and I think that that's something we're really going to emphasize this coming year is sticking together as a team, working our hardest every single day, and just not taking anything for granted.
Jess Merzick, how would you define the identity of what you want this program to be?
We're super competitive. I mean, every single person in our gym is competitive, and we've got competition in our gym that pushes us every day, which is great. So I think how we're able to not shy away from that competition is going to launch us into such a great season. Jess and I have talked about a ton already, but we're just not going to back down at any point this season. Like Jess said, we had a pretty disappointing loss at the end of the year, but that's just driving us, and we're digging in, and we're going to be gritty this year for sure.
It is common after every single season for your team to go to the NCAA tournament, which is highly successful by all accounts. But how would you define success for Michigan in 2022, Coach?
I think reaching our full potential. And that sounds like one of those catch things people say, but I really believe that we talk every day about, how are we growing, how are we learning. Whether we win a game or lose a game, it's more important to what are we going to take away from it, because it's going to help us in the next game. So I think for me, defining success for this team will be reaching our maximum potential. And if we do that, we're going to win a lot of games, and we're going to play late in the season, because I think we have the talent. We're a very, very talented group. They're a very competitive group. I just want to make sure we keep learning every day and not get wrapped up in the stuff that pulls you away from learning. When you start having those self-doubts a little bit, or you're worried about what other people think, or you're worried about the result of one game, those things can pull you away from that growth process. For me, I want to see this team keep growing, because I know if we do that and when we do that, the result's going to be amazing.
Well, we're looking forward to it so much. Thank you, Jess, Coach, for joining us here during Big Ten Volleyball Media Days. Michigan opens up their season against Old Dominion on August 26th. The Purdue Boilermakers coming off a 26-7 season, which ended in a trip to the NCAA regional final. In fact, they've done that in back-to-back seasons. Key returners include middle blocker Raven Colvin, who is a member of the All-Big Ten freshman team, and outside hitter Emma Ellis, who notched 124 kills, 40 blocks, and 20 digs last season. And those two ladies are joined here by Purdue head coach Dave Shondell as well. Welcome to the first ever Big Ten Volleyball Media Days. Coach, how's it been going so far?
It's been a great day. We are just so thankful for what the Big Ten Conference and the Big Ten Network are doing for the sport of volleyball. It's been a great day.
And Raven, we were talking about this earlier. You got to kind of go downstairs and check out some of the stations. What's been the best part of Media Day so far?
I think just getting the opportunity to just tell your story and answer the cool questions that they have to ask. So.
Emma, what's the best question someone's asked you so far?
Probably like reenacting Dave.
What was your reenactment? Can we see it again?
It was something that he always says, and we had to reenact it. And it was,
do it, absolutely.
Be an athlete, Ellis.
Well, that reenactment might be accurate, and it's been helpful because your team has gone to back-to-back regional finals. Coach, how have you been able to maintain that level of consistency at West Lafayette?
Well, we've found some really good athletes. When we go out and recruit, we look for athletic ability first and foremost in people that are very coachable and are going to be loyal to their and great teammates. And we've just hit the jackpot here recently in finding a lot of those players, and then they compete. And you mentioned Emma, and the deciding match to get us into the Elite Eight last year was Emma Ellis had come off the bench and got a stuff block on match point. And so she like both these girls like to rise to the occasion. They're great competitors.
Emma, how are you able to maintain your level of focus in those types of big moments on the floor?
Just kind of knowing like what needs to be done. And in practice, we do a lot of, like focusing on certain things or things like that. But I think also just kind of growing up in like the sports atmosphere, I think you just kind of learn to like zone in and dial in certain things.
Raven, I see you're wearing a lot of gold today. You didn't bring your gold medal, though, that you just won with Team USA in the U21 FIBA World Cup. How special of an experience was that for you to be able to compete with that team?
I think that experience in that half-a-month journey was just very humbling, and I think I learned a lot in how to be a good teammate, and it just allowed me to gain a new perspective in volleyball, and just allowing like those girls to helping them when it comes to like gameplay and just different things that are open and like different things that are working on the court, and just being able to like gain relationships with girls that like I've never met before and played against a lot of them, and just allowing myself to gain new friendships on a different side of the court. So.
You got to compete at the international level, but you just finished up your freshman year, going now into your sophomore year in the best conference in the country. What was your biggest learning experience in that first year in the Big Ten?
Just trusting myself and trusting my teammates and Dave, and just gaining confidence in like my gameplay and just allowing myself to be me. And I thank him for allowing me to be myself and him trusting me that I can be that player to bring energy on the court. So.
Well, Coach, you had a lot of players on your team step up into big roles. In fact, you led the nation in total blocks with more than 392. Why was your team so successful in that category?
We had a lot of experience, and that helps. Raven was not one of those with the experience, but she's a great athlete, and she competes really, really hard. And she has great vision at the net and anticipates very well. But we had Grace Cleveland on the right side, who's just a tremendous blocker, and Caitlin Newton, and either Emma or Maddie Chin or Maddie Cook on the left. So we put in some big physical athletes on the floor, and we'll do that again this year. I mean, blocking won't be an issue with us this fall. We got some other things we need to improve on, but blocking will be in pretty good shape.
What's the identity of this Purdue team going to be this season?
That's a great question. I mean, you'll need a program before we come to the matches, because there's a lot of new faces out there that will be on the floor, but many have been in our program. And I think that when you look at our team, you'll see great athletes on the floor, but how we become a team again. And that's why I think that we've done so well this past couple of years is we become a team. And that's something that these players are going to have to really focus on here. We start in a week.
Yeah.
And they've been together all summer. And I know they've done a great job of, creating some of that camaraderie. But when things start getting tough, how they're going to respond when you lose a tough match or you're down 2-0, that's when teams are really made.
And it helps when you have veterans on your team like Emma. What have you been able to tell the younger players on this team from a leadership standpoint?
Just kind of letting them know, it's every Big Ten match is an all-out war, I would say. But that, we train for specific things, and I think that we just have to trust our training, trust our coaches, trust each other, that the work that we're putting in will lead us to where we want to be.
What makes the Big Ten the toughest conference year in and year out?
I would say just the competitiveness, the intensity. It's very fast-paced. So just we have big girls too, so a lot of experience as well, playing volleyball for a long time.
Coach, you're entering your 20th season with Purdue. You've seen this league evolve over your time in West Lafayette. Why is this conference so good every single year?
Well, I think the athletes are drawn to the Big Ten. When you look at the Olympic team, I think of the 12 players that played on the gold medal roster, 9 or 10 were from the Big Ten Conference. The Big Ten Network does an amazing job of putting this game in front of America. And so there are players that will be watching, young players watching us all the time, and they dream of playing in the Big Ten. And then there's a handful of pretty good coaches in this league too. So they're always going to be prepared to play. But athleticism, toughness, competitiveness, great crowds, there's no comparison right now, in my opinion, to the Big Ten in the sport of volleyball.
Ladies, do you have a match in particular that you're really looking forward to this season?
For me, I would say Wisconsin, Nebraska, probably Ohio State too. So
makes sense, as you guys all finished towards the top of the league last season. What about you, Emma?
Definitely agree with Raven on that. Also, I always like to play Illinois because we always kind of go back and forth. So I think that would definitely be a real fun one.
Emma, I want to start with you, but I want to ask all three, how will you define success for Purdue this season?
I would say just, working really hard, kind of knowing that, hey, we need to control what we can control, and just going in with an open mindset, since it's kind of a newer team, and just being resilient, being confident in ourselves, because we've all been in the situation. We all kind of had a couple games here and there. So I think just kind of having fun with it as well.
Raven?
I would definitely say having fun as well, and just trusting the coaches and just open-mindedness, just trying new things, anything that they would want us to try, in order to win the games and things like that, and just growing to love each other. I mean, it's a lot of new faces, but I think this summer we've done a good job with getting to know each other and know what we need as teammates and what to give and how to receive things. So,
Coach?
Should I say having fun?
Of course, you can add that in.
Common theme. I just think at the end of the season, knowing that we did everything we could do, to be the best team we can. When you play in this league, it's hard to anticipate where you're going to finish. This year, it's impossible. And I do think we'll finish better than 8th in the league. I think that we'll compete every single night. And if you compete, you're giving yourself a chance to win, and you can walk off the floor. So to me, it'll all be about building this team together and then out-competing people when we get on the floor.
We are so looking forward to it. Purdue Boilermakers, thank you for joining us on our first ever Big Ten Volleyball Media Days. The Boilers open up against Bowling Green on August 26th. The Northwestern Wildcats, with the 7th ranked recruiting class nationally coming into Evanston this season. Key returners include outside hitter Temi Thomas Ayulara, who finished last year ranked 2nd in the Big Ten with 492 kills on the season, and libero Megan Miller, who led the team in digs with 2.92 a set. And head coach Shane Davis is also with us, and he's also with our Emily Eman as well in fathead form, just hanging out. Hashtag B1G first serve. Coach, I mean, you look fantastic in the fathead form. Are you going to take that home with you? Like, you could scare your children with it, perhaps? You have a lot of options here.
Yeah, a lot of options, and obviously someone like Emily even gives you a lot of options, to deal with. But yeah, I think I could take it home and probably scare the family a little bit.
That could be a lot of fun with it. Well, welcome to Big Ten Volleyball Media Days. Megan, how's it been so far?
It's been good. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. You guys have been able to kind of do some TikToks I've seen and whatnot. Tell me, have you shown off your dance moves at all?
I think I'll show them off at our last session. Coach Davis will get in a couple, Megan, a couple other people on our staff will too.
Well, she said it on TV, so now you have to do it. So the pressure is on.
We'll see.
But a lot of exciting things happening for the Cats this year. Coach, you bring in the 7th ranked recruiting class nationally. What impact do you expect this young squad to make on your team this year?
Yeah, hopefully immediate impact. It's they're a couple different positions. They add great talent and great depth to an already kind of, I want to say, like stacked roster, right? A lot of returners, like what you mentioned. So just excited to see once we can kind of get to work with them individually in the gym once we report. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they're able to do. But they'll be contributing right away.
And Megan, you're one of the leaders on this team. You decided to come back for a 5th year. What went behind that decision?
I think the main thing was I still want to help Shane rebuild this program. When I came in 2 years ago, he told me that I was going to be a part of it, and it's been super exciting the past 2 years, and I don't want to be done with that. And the other thing is I just don't want to give up volleyball yet. I've played it my whole life, and thinking about being done with it even in 4 months is kind of scary to me because it's all I've ever known. So I wanted the last chance I could get.
You talk about rebuilding and helping coach with that. Where have you seen the biggest improvement since your time on campus?
Yeah, I think especially depth in all positions have been just absolutely incredible. I mean, just from open gyms this summer, seeing that everyone can step up and make an impact is so much fun to watch. And from the beginning when I got here, just like competitiveness. And, we talk about grit a lot in our gym, and just having that, it just is a game changer to have. And it's been a lot more fun in the gym this past year, and I think it's going to be even more fun. So.
Well, you have a leader next to you also in Temi, who has become really one of the most feared hitters in the Big Ten. How have you been able to develop your vision in finding the gaps so well on the other side of the net?
I think my team really helps me with that. I mean, they take away my favorite shots on the block. Megan, Ellie, Charlotte, all of our DSs are sitting where I normally hit, making me hit different shots. Coach Davis is telling me, Amir is telling me, and they're just all helping me figure out what I need to do to get a kill.
You have, again, become one of the most successful players in the Big Ten. What makes the Big Ten Conference so challenging to play in?
I think it's the athletes in it. The athletes in it are competitive. They're hitters, they're blockers, they can do everything. And their coaches are good too. They figure out weaknesses, points where I need to get better, and they go for them. They make me a better player, and it's really exciting.
How would you describe your development over the course of getting to Evanston your freshman year to where you are now?
I think the coaches and the team have helped me become a more all-around player. I've been looking up to Megan and Ellie and all of our DSs for passing. Amir has been helping me with my blocking. I can look to the middles to help me, ask them for
steps, what my hands need to do if I'm diving, reaching, just the little things I can ask my teammates for.
Coach, you have these two leaders here. You have a young crew coming in. What are some names that Wildcat fans haven't necessarily heard yet that you expect to make some noise this season?
Yeah. I think Ellie Stinson is somebody in our gym. She'll be a rising sophomore. She's, I think, first year she did a really good job, but I think she's really grown off the court this year. She's really grown in some leadership role too in her own way, and I think she's figured out how to maybe lead herself a little bit as well, which has been really helpful. So I think she's one that's going to be great. I think Alexa Rousseau, our setter, continues to grow, and as your setter, your quarterback position, when you're a first year and early in your career, it's like drinking from a fire hose. So I think she's going to be really good, and I think we'll see her take off as well. And then in the middle position, someone like Desiree Becker had kind of plagued with some injuries throughout her career, and I think if she can have a healthy year, I think she's going to be a big name for us to keep an eye on as well.
You just said Desiree Becker. Megan nodded her head over there in agreement. You are a leader on this team. What are you telling these younger players who are coming up right now in their preseason?
Yeah, I mean, all summer it's kind of just been that it's really up to you. Like, I'm a leader and I can say that we're going to have an open gym at this time, but it's really up to each individual person of how hard they want to push each other. We can push each other, but really it's your inside, like how much you actually want to get better for your team, for yourself, for the coaches. So it's really on ourselves, and Desiree has been one of those people this summer that I've just been so impressed with, because she has been so on top of it, so excited to come in and play and want to get better, and it's just fun to think about because I know she's going to be awesome this season.
You talked about getting better, and Temi, you've been awarded many accolades, all Big Ten and whatnot throughout your career. Where is your biggest area of growth going to be headed into this season?
I think my biggest area of growth will probably be, that's a good question. I think it might be my energy on the court and just who I am when the ball isn't in my hands. If I'm giving to my team or if I'm being internal, I think I have to give to my team a little more than I have in the past, and that'll make a difference.
Coach, year in and year out, the Big Ten continues to be the best volleyball conference in the country. What makes it so competitive every single year?
Gosh, it's everything, right? It's you talk about a program and trying to run a program in this league. It's one, as you as a head coach, right, working really hard and just understanding the game, understanding kind of what you're trying to do as a head coach. But then also you've got to hire a great staff. You've got to have a great staff that can connect with your student athletes. And I'm getting older, right? And we've got some younger coaches that are great, and they can connect with student athletes really well, and I can connect with them, and so we can hit them at different experiences as well. So we have that, but you've got to recruit really well. You've got to be able to sell your vision as a head coach and program to be able to keep getting better, right? We talked about our recruiting class, ranked 7th in the country right now. That's the highest it's ever been in Northwestern history. I mean, that's a big step for us, and so we've got to continue to have great recruits that want to be here at Northwestern and continue to grow and work really hard, because it's not easy.
I want each of you to define success for Northwestern this year. Megan, we'll start with you.
I think that success for us this year would be making the Big Ten tournament. It's been our goal the past couple of years, and we came just short of it. And I think that would be a huge success for us, but it's still going to take a lot because, as you said, the Big Ten is tough. But if we can make it there, then I think after that, it will go for itself. And I believe that we can make it far, but we just have to get there first.
Temi?
Completely agree. I think making the NCAAs is so important to our team. It's been a goal since I've been a freshman, and I think this year we have the chance to do it. And when we do it, I think it's going to make everything we worked for this past offseason come to light.
Coach?
I'll echo their responses, right? Yeah, the retweet piece of it. And I'm going to challenge them this year to dream bigger than just getting to the NCAA tournament, because we just know how competitive this league is, and if we can have 6 teams in the Sweet 16 and 2 in the Final Four and 2 playing for a national championship, I think if we can get into that tournament, why not the Sweet 16, right, for us as a program. So we're going to challenge this group and our staff to keep dreaming bigger than keep getting better.
And why not Northwestern?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Why not?
Why not?
Wildcats, thank you so much for joining us on this Big Ten Volleyball Media Day. The Cats open up against Pacific on August 26th. Speaking of the Huskers, taking a look at what they have coming off a trip to the national title game where they finished as the runners-up, a 26-8 overall record, and key returners include outside hitter Maddie Kubik, who led the team with nearly 3.5 kills per set, and defensive specialist Kenzie Knuckles, who averaged more than 2 digs per set. And the Huskers with 3 guarantees in life, death, taxes, and Nebraska being elite when it comes to volleyball. You can see they traveled in some style to get up here to Big Ten Media Volleyball Days in the PJ. Nonetheless, a private jet and the pictures on Twitter to prove it. And joining us now in the flesh, we have the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Kenzie Knuckles, Maddie Kubik, and head coach John Cook. Welcome to the first ever Volleyball Media Days. Coach, you have been in this conference a long time. How would you assess how today has gone so far?
Well, first of all, the Big Ten needs to be thanked for doing all this, and especially Grace, who's, it was her vision to have this happen. And this just validates everything that we're trying to do in volleyball. We're trying to be a big-time sport nationally, big time in the Big Ten, and this is also a great experience for our players to go through all this, meet you and everybody else, and have some fun today. And whenever do you get all the teams in the volleyball teams in the Big Ten together in one spot? I mean, I don't know if it's ever happened.
That's a fantastic point. You talk about being this national powerhouse with volleyball, and your team has done that year in and year out since you've taken over the program. How much momentum can you take from that 2021 trip to the national championship game and prove it over to this season?
Every year is a new adventure and a new team. We do have some players that have been there and have got close, so hopefully that has motivated us a little bit and maybe inspired us to push a little bit harder and find a way. But we got to start from the beginning, just like everybody else does, and then see how far we can go and how good we can become. And as we say, when you get to the Big Ten, you better be pretty good, because you're going to be playing a great team every night. And so. And that's why I say it's a journey, and so I'm excited. This group's worked hard, and our dynamics have changed, and here we go.
And you have 2 players up here who have fantastic bases to begin the journey with. Maddie, you've emerged as one of the most feared hitters in the Big Ten. How would you describe your approach to hitting the ball?
Thank you. I feel like it is definitely a weapon for us to have multiple people that are attacking at different positions, and it makes our offense really hard to defend when multiple people are on fire and making it hard for the defense to know who we're going to set and who's going to kill the ball. And so that opens it up for other players to have good nights.
And Kenzie, both you and Maddie played together in the beach season as well as partners. How helpful was it to have that experience together on the floor and translate that over to the indoor?
Yeah, it's really important. It helps us communicate with one another, and it also helps us build trust. We pass next to each other in indoors, so just working out the trust that we built in beach, because it's only 2 of us, and just translating that onto the real court, and we pass next to each other almost every single game. So yeah, it's really important.
I imagine your chemistry has to be pretty good, and you can tell us everything about each other, right?
Pretty much.
And Kenzie, Nebraska has produced fantastic defensive specialists over the years. What about this program lends itself well to that position?
I would say just the passion and the motivation that's instilled within us. And I always say that defense is built on grit, and when you have people motivating you and pushing you to just want it so badly, that's literally the definition of defense. So I think that's why we have really good defensive players.
And Coach, you have a younger roster this season with the team. How important is it for you to have 2 seniors and a player like Nicklin Hammond come back for a 5th year to kind of lead this team early on in the season?
Really, really important, and especially these 2, I've asked them to carry a bigger role now, leadership-wise, over the summer, and continue to build our culture and what we need to do. And I think they've embraced that opportunity, and again, one of the great things that I'm really proud of at Nebraska Volleyball is our older players pass down to our younger players what it takes, the tradition, the culture, and what we're about. And you've got to have that to build a great program that can be consistent. But I wanted to ask you on that beach question. Is you going to ask that to everybody?
No, not everybody. No, I know that you as a program, make it a point of emphasis and how much that translates onto the floor and indoor. And why is it important for you to have your players play in beach?
Well, we think it's a great training ground because, for example, Kenzie's used to be an outside hitter, but then became a libero. Well, in beach, she gets to do everything. Our middle blockers get to do everything. A lot of these middle blockers get to college. They've never even served in a match before. So they get to serve and pass and play defense and all those things. So it makes them all around like the old days. Everybody had to do everything, and we're not so specialized. So I think they really enjoy that. And the other thing that I like about it is, and we have an indoor sand court, which allows us to be able to train and prepare. But it's less wear and tear in their bodies. And we know these seasons are long, and playing in the sand, it's low impact, it's less wear and tear. So we get to train, we get to play, but without the pounding. And so it's been a really, really cool deal for us.
And you also get to continue to maintain that chemistry throughout the off season from indoor per se. But Coach mentioned he'd ask you guys to step up into that leadership role. What have you learned about yourselves stepping up into this position?
Great question.
Yeah, I think it's definitely been a little bit of a challenge, but one that we've been really excited about and embraced a lot, and working together and bouncing ideas off each other of how we can help this team to be successful and grow our relationships, and like Coach said, instill the things that are so important about Nebraska volleyball and our young people. So we've been excited for the challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking about it earlier, but since we were here as freshmen, we've kind of had a team that's just kept going all the way through. We had no seniors our freshman year, and then our sophomore year was COVID, and then our junior year we had fifth-year seniors, and that's why we always say like Lauren Stivrins was here for forever, because she literally was. And so it was really easy for us, like that they were here for so long, they just showed us Nebraska's culture. There was no explaining about it or like starting from zero, I guess. But so now that they're gone and it kind of does feel like a new team with a lot of younger girls, it's kind of taking the step back of like, okay, let's explain this a little bit more instead of just showing it and it coming as we go. So it's been a little bit different. But.
And it goes by so fast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But I want to ask you each, how would you define success for Nebraska this season? Starting with you, Kenzie.
That's a great question.
You guys are making me feel good about my question asking here.
Yeah. That's great. I would say everyone would answer that differently, but I would say based on the role I have on the team, I would say just embracing Nebraska culture and setting goals for ourselves and expectations and holding each other accountable to those and seeing success within each other. And obviously everyone wants to win a national championship or win the Big Ten, and I'm not going to say that's not my goal because I would love that, right? But just seeing success within the team and the program and our coaches and everything that are trying to build right now, seeing that go through in the future, I think that's success.
What about you?
Yeah, kind of bouncing off what Kenzie was saying, I think we have so many fierce competitors on our team this year, and I think we have a really great opportunity to raise the level of what we practice at in the gym every single day with the people that we have in the gym and the competition that that's going to create. And I think if we can use that to strengthen our relationships and really embrace and lean into that, I think that we're going to be able to play some really great volleyball, and we're going to build really great relationships out of that as well. So I'm excited for that.
Coach?
We have two sayings at Nebraska Volleyball: a team that plays, we call it we-o-feel, with each other, for each other. So I always want to see our team max that out. And then the other saying we have is ultimate trust, and a team that plays with that. And for me, if we can accomplish that, that is a great season, a successful season. If we do that, we will be in position to win championships.
Oh, we are looking forward to seeing you all this season, the Nebraska Huskers. Thank you so much for joining us in this Big Ten Volleyball Media Day. And the Huskers open up their season against Texas A&M Corpus Christi on August 26th.